Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Come on along and welcome aboard to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this Wednesday, as always. Bob Kravitz joining us a little earlier than normal so we can get out on the golf course. No, I'm kidding.
No.
I'm teasing. I'm just kidding.
Maybe later.
You better not be, because I have not been, man. It's killing me. Not killing me. I don't care, but just to get away from something. But first of all, I've got to get to the most important news of the day, man. Slick Leonard. Yeah. I heard that yesterday. That is someone who I never personally got to meet, and it has bothered me that I didn't. And oh man, it just has destroyed me, because the more I learned about him, the more I had a quote unquote love affair with him and his life. He's a Hoosier. The most important Hoosier I think that there ever has been. And I don't mean by IU, I mean the state.
I think sports-wise, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I think he's had the biggest impact of any sportsman or sportswoman on the city of Indianapolis and the state of Indiana, and that includes Peyton Manning. Now, Peyton Manning has got a hospital, and he's a close second. But you think about Slick, Jim, and without him, there's no Pacers.
No.
Without the Pacers, there's no Bankers Life, Market Square, what have you.
No Reggie Miller.
I don't think downtown looks the way downtown looks, without Slick Leonard and what he did back in the day, back in the 60s.
Is there a cult if there's no Pacers?
I don't think there are. Because I don't think Indianapolis is a vibrant enough city, or would have been a vibrant enough city,
not then,
for people to have wanted to move their franchise here, specifically the Ursays. So I just think the entire skyline of Indianapolis looks different because of Bobby Slick Leonard. And let me tell you, he was a treat of a man. I always used to have him come out to my charity golf tournament. In the last couple of years, he would tell me, well, Bobby, I don't swing the old golf club the way I used to. I can't really play. What can I do? And I said, you can do? Show up and be slick. Just be slick. Tell stories, be wonderful, be funny. And that's what he did year after year. Him and Nancy, we'd pick him up and we get him a golf cart, and he would just go from tee to tee and green to green, and he would share stories. And he was the greatest. He was absolutely the greatest.
That's worth admission to anything right there, just to get those few minutes with him. I mean, if you do not know this story, you owe it to yourself, because he started as a poor kid in Terre Haute at Gersmeyer High School, and just rose up, hits the winning free throw for Indiana's second national championship. Right. Just goes on to do all the things that you've said. I had an 8-year NBA career, by the way. Don't forget in between there. But just the stories, you got to go read the ABA stories, man. If you haven't, you got to go read about these things, these locker room stories, when the pictures with him and was it Mel Daniels, whoever it was, and Slick's got a cigarette in one hand, a bottle of beer in the other time at halftime in the locker room. Yeah. Stories I read yesterday about him chasing a player around the locker room with a hockey stick.
That was Bob Nedelicki. Neto has told me that story several times. Slick was pissed off at Neto. And apparently they were in a visiting locker room, and there was a hockey stick, because it was a arena that doubled as a hockey arena. So he chased Neto with a hockey stick. So he lived a really large life. And I have a really, I don't often recommend my own work because I don't like most of what I do. It's my own problem. But I got a piece going in a couple of hours. I talked with Mark Boyle, his radio play-by-play guy, and we talked a lot about some great Slick stories, and that's going to be up on The Athletic, hopefully within the next 2 hours.
I cannot
So,
wait.
yeah, and if you didn't have a chance to hear Mark last night on the radio call, he did about a 1 minute 45, 2 minute long. He paid homage to Slick, and it was really beautifully done. And Mark has such a great facility for words, so articulate, and it was really lovely. And well, I'll tell you what, I don't know what the situation is these days with COVID, but in a normal time, this man's it'll be like a state funeral. I mean, everybody and anybody in the state of Indiana, all the people that he's touched, both personally and from distance, would be there. It would be standing room only.
Yeah, if they have it in Banker's Life, it would probably be sold out, if not close to it.
Absolutely. He was an amazing guy. The thing I loved about him is, he smoked back in the day, and he liked to drink.
He smoked in the locker room at halftime. Yeah, what are you talking about?
He ate rich food. He liked himself a big old T-bone. And the dude, he had a lot of health problems, starting most notably in 2011, when he had a massive cardiac arrest and damn near died at Madison Square Garden. The guy lived to 88, and I was talking to Mark yesterday, and he was saying, the way this guy lived his life, and as large as he was as a person and as a man, to 88 really full, big years he lived. And while we're all sad and we're all heartbroken, I think there's a feeling of joy. It's a celebration of life. And that's something that they wanted to get across on the radio broadcast last night. And I think they did one hell of a job of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're just sad that we don't have him around anymore. I want to hear more of him call games and that stuff. But his last statement, John, I don't know if you have that you could pull that up, but his last, I guess it was in his Naismith induction, where he talked about having a love affair with the state of Indiana.
Yes.
And it's going on for that. And he knows it can't go on forever.
I hope I didn't miss anything, but I probably did. The only thing left to say is I've had a love affair with the fans and the people in the state of Indiana. We call ourselves Hoosiers. And they've been very supportive. It's a love affair that has gone on for years, since I was at Indiana University. And I wish that it could last forever. But I know better than that. So as I look around this room, the Lord has had his hand on my shoulder. Now here's what I hope for all of you. That the Lord puts his hand on your shoulder and blesses you all the years of your life. Thank you.
Pretty much summed it up, man. He was a blessing to Indiana people. That's for just the state of Indiana for certain.
Well, Boyle had a funny line. He said Slick was a Hoosier, was a consummate Hoosier, the way Gotti was a consummate gangster. He was Indiana through and through, and I've always he talks about Nancy, his wife, and what a great love story. They've been married 67 years. They met as freshmen at Indiana. Mark was telling me a story that one day Slick asked Nancy in class if she liked basketball. Well, yeah, sure. Would you like to go to an IU game? Well, yeah, sure. He said, well, I'll leave some tickets at will call. So she shows up and she gets the ticket, and there's no Slick. She can't find Slick. Where is this guy who asked me out on a date? She sits down in her seat, looks at warm-ups, and there's Slick on the court in the layup line. She had no idea that he was on the IU basketball team, and he just never bothered to tell her.
That's funny. Well, it doesn't surprise me from the stories I've heard how shy he was. Didn't he trip her to first meet her or something like that? It was just the typical boy-girl stuff, but just great. I mean, just a great human, just a great human, and one of the greatest ambassadors. But man, and what about Boom Baby? I mean, that is just the greatest trademark. Reggie Miller, I mean, what a great transition to having Reggie in when he was in Indianapolis to have him on the mic. It's just perfect. It was the perfect transition.
Yeah, and for people my age, I don't say our age because you're quite a bit younger than me. People my age, we kind of remember the ABA days and the championships, and Slick at the top of his game. But for the newer generation, the one thing they know him by is Boom Baby. And, nobody actually knows where that came from, including Slick. He's awesome. He's changed the story so many times. I think by the end, he forgot which one was which. But, it's kind of like the etymology of the word Hoosier. Nobody actually knows what the hell it means or where it came from, but by God, it's who we are. And Boom Baby is part of who we are and who Slick was.
Absolutely. I know you got to get running a little early today. I know you had a piece out on Indiana taking considerable risk by hiring Mike Woodson, that he's the right guy at the right time. You just talked about you got a piece coming out on Slick. And I'm sure that's going to keep you busy the rest of the day. Yes,
that's it. I'm actually meeting with Bo Borowski, the official.
Bo Borowski.
Yeah, Bo is a friend of mine. I never criticize him for his bad calls, but he was talking about keeping a diary through the NCAA tournament bubble, and so we're meeting at 10 o'clock. And he's picking up the tab. Just kidding. And I want to see what he's got because he officiated in the national title game, which is great. I mean, talk about a career achievement to go into officiating and suddenly find yourself in the national title game. That's pretty cool. So I'm going to see what he has, and maybe when I get back from vacation next week, I'll write something off of that.
Yeah, I'd like to have him on. I've never had an official, and it'd be cool just to talk to them about all the officiating.
I've got to ask him what it was like this year not to get booed.
There's that. Yeah, he had that going. It had to be fun for him, but that would be wonderful. I'll look forward to maybe seeing if I can contact him through you.
Okay.
That would be great to have.
Send me a text. I'll get you a number.
That'd be great, brother. Well, I'll let you go. Now you got to get busy. Anything else that you got coming up that you need to talk about?
Well, I got something Thursday on the Colts, and did they do enough in the off season to take that next big step? I think to go from good to great, and I think they're good. They're really good. I think you need to take some risks, and I don't think they took much in the way of risks. They didn't do very much in free agency. There's still time to do some things, but I think the question has to be asked, did they do enough to sort of supplant Buffalo and Kansas City and Baltimore and teams of that nature? So that'll come out Thursday.
Look forward to it from The Athletic. I'm a subscriber. You should be as well. Thank you, sir. I cannot thank you enough.
All right. Talk to you soon.
You go out and have a great day. Bob Kravitz, the great Bob Kravitz, joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat from the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios. Back with more after this. Hey, Hoosier fans, whether you're looking for a new or a used vehicle, I don't know who we have next.
So you never told me what to tell Jake, so I just told him I'd get back with him when we found out. Or Kyle, excuse me.
All right, hold on. Let me see what Jake told me.
And if you need me, I don't know if you've emailed Jake the link. I need to do that for him if you haven't.
So can Kyle go at 9:40?
I'll ask him.
Damn it, I got to get somebody at 10.
Maybe try Martha the Mop Lady again.
Yes, I will do. That's a great idea. Here is Jake's. Man, I hate when days get screwed up.
It's all right. You just got to move along.
Well, no, it's just filling it at that last second.
Yeah. So you sent me his email. Sweet. Thank you.
Okay. Like I give a crap.
jakequery@me.com.
Damn it. I should have stuck with Kyle. His is a lot better. Or if I had somebody else, I can do Kyle tomorrow. Damn.
Kyle said he can do 940, so you're good.
Perfect. That gets me to 10.
Yeah.
It's called Audible, baby. Audible.
Yep. All right, I sent the link to Jake.
What in the hell? Oh. Clear.
All right. Coming back in 30.
Destination, French Lick, West Baden, Indiana. You'll find great places to visit, to stay, to dine, and to play. We
Have
offer
pipes
an
and stuff
up-close
ready,
animal
please.
encounter with elephants and giraffes.
It's always ready. I just
Lodging
gotta
that
click
is
on it.
out of this world, world-class golfing, and a premier resort experience that is waiting for you on your next visit to French Lick, West Baden.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
There's the best thing that we've heard. John, do you want to try to give Jake a call? He may have to do it by phone today. I don't know if you have that set up. If you can do that. Let's see. It doesn't have to be. Try to get Jake on with us. Jake Query. Hope you guys are having a great day. Welcome back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Brought to you by the fine folks at Andy Moore Honda Bloomington. Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. On this Wednesday, man, Slick Leonard passes away. It should be a celebration. I mean, he had a great long life. But, man, Indiana fans probably don't know enough about him because he became associated with the Pacers, not as much IU, for two reasons. Number one, because he was so influential in the Pacers organization. But number two, he turned down the job before Bob Knight. But Bob Knight became this big figure down in Bloomington. You've got the Pacers, who were an upstart then. So they were in two different places, but it was weird how you had two iconic guys going at the same time. I mean, think about that. Slick Leonard, Bob Knight, both coaching in Indiana at the same time. And he could have been the coach at Indiana. So that would have changed the trajectory. We talked about that. Jerry Tarkanian had turned the job down as well. But, he was more known and associated with the Pacers. He hit the winning free throw in the 1953 national championship game for Indiana to beat Kansas. But he's kind of like Larry Bird, man. He came out of Terre Haute. a poor kid, the west side of Indiana. Came to IU, but he stayed, thank goodness. But just, man, what a guy. What a talent. And hate to lose him, but 88 years old, and he had a full life, and he's certainly going to be missed. Dane Fife met with the media yesterday for the first time as an Indiana coach. And let's just say the environment is one that is much more light and welcoming. And it was a lot more fun than I ever dreamed it could be. Compared to what has been going on for the past 4 years. We're going to have more access. We're going to be able to tell you more things. It's going to be a lot better situation than it has been for the past 4 years. And they know that. And as a matter of fact, play the clip with Kevin Brockway, who sits in with us, is off this week. He's in Florida. Well, hold on, Jake or John. Don't do that. I see Jake jumping on there. Jake Query taking just a few minutes out of his time, and we appreciate him to doing that. Jake, how you doing, man?
I assume you can hear me all right. Is that correct?
Absolutely. So, hey, I appreciate you taking a few minutes. I know you're really busy today, but I know that we were talking about Slick earlier. I had Bob Kravitz on, and you're an indie guy, and Bob was just, or Slick was just, he was Mr. Indiana.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the thing that makes his career unique, really, to be honest with you, not just unique, but isolated to just Slick, is the fact that his career and his accomplishments and his contribution to basketball is all encompassing in Indiana in terms of every level. Because, this is a guy that is a young player coming out of Terre Haute in high school, went to the state finals early in his high school playing career, and then, of course, hitting the game-winning free throws in Indiana as a player. But then I think it goes beyond that into, he played for the Lakers at a time when there weren't a lot of players from Indiana necessarily that were branching out into the major markets and putting Indiana from a basketball standpoint on the map. And, he survived a plane crash for the Lakers. I mean, fortunately, nobody was fatally injured in that plane crash. But, he literally had 20 lives, and he maximized every one of them. But then I think his coaching contribution, obviously, with the ABA Pacers that really connected in the city of Indianapolis, and what I think's been lost on a lot of people is if the Pacers in the early 70s did not become the dominant franchise that is then one of the 4 ABA franchises to be, taken into the NBA, then does Indianapolis become and stay a major league sports city? I think it's entirely possible that if the Pacers don't have the ABA success, they don't get taken into the NBA. And then, with no disrespect to a city like Louisville, which is a great city, but once the Kentucky Colonels and the ABA dissolved, they didn't go into the NBA. In Louisville, for example, has been searching to become a big league town ever since. And it's been a great college town, but maybe that's what Indianapolis is, and that therefore the footprint that leads to the building of the Hoosier Dome and the bringing of an NFL franchise and the Pan American Games in '87 and everything that has come with the city of Indianapolis from a sports standpoint. I think so much of that has Slick Leonard's fingerprints all over it.
We were just talking to Bob Kravitz about many of those same things, but you just made a great point about the current. I remember those ABA, the Kentucky Colonels, and they did not get to go to the NBA. And you're exactly right; they are still to this day. Dan Issel, who was a member of those Colonels teams, still trying to land an NBA franchise in Louisville. And this is from the 70s, man. So that's a great point that you hit on there. Yeah. I mean, they had great basketball then. I mean, that ABA team, the Colonels, you had Dan Issel, Louis Dampier, Artis Gilmore. They were legit, but to this day, they don't have any major franchise in that town.
And, in addition to that, there was discussion at one time. I don't know how much it was ever beyond probably pipe dream discussion, But I think when talking about relocation of franchises, when Louisville has explored that, the Pacers are a team that people have mentioned before, not in a long time, but I think when Indiana broke through, look, the Pacers is an NBA franchise for their first essentially 12 years as an NBA franchise were abysmal. And then once they drafted Reggie Miller and things started to kind of come together, Slick Leonard was such a part from the radio broadcast of not only, obviously you've got to win games, but when the Pacers started winning games and they started competing against the Knicks and Reggie Miller was doing his thing, such a huge part of the connection in this city and the capture and the imagination of where the franchise could be for this city came from the phrase boom baby. Quite frankly and quite simply, Slick became, I'm not going to say a caricature, but I think he knew that he was playing the part of a Pied Piper character that people could rally around, and they loved that phrase. That phrase had such a huge part of just capturing and everybody in Indianapolis becoming on board with the vision of the Pacers and their NBA legitimacy. And there it is right there. That was such a huge part of this town rallying around and then getting a hold of the Pacers NBA franchise that made it almost impossible for any other city to be able to take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been a magical ride. I know you got to get going. We thank you for taking a few minutes to come on today, but you were someone who I know, I'm like, man, I got to get Jake. He's just so in tune to that. What's going on with you? I know we got, luckily, hopefully, the Indy 500 coming up. Normal this year, all that going on.
That is correct. As a matter of fact, I leave on a couple days here to go to Birmingham for the first IndyCar race of the year, the Grand Prix of Alabama, and then that's followed up by St. Petersburg and then Texas. And then the month of May gets underway with the Indianapolis 500. Obviously, a lot of people have asked me, Jim, understandably so, what's going to happen with fans. Fans will be at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. How many of them, what the protocol will be, I'm not in those meetings. That's above my pay grade. But I do believe they're going to have fans. And, I think we're still a year away from the typical Indy 500 of being able to go to a concert ahead of time and packing 300,000 in there. But if you want to see it live, I think you're going to have the opportunity to see it live. And it's good to be, we're still in a situation where I think everybody's got to be responsible. But to be able to go to live sporting events, to be able for me to call them on the race or call them on the radio, it's been a while, so it'll take a bit. I'm traveling again this year. We're back to doing that. Last year we did them remotely, so I'm optimistic about it and look forward to it. And certainly hope that everybody's able to enjoy it safely and in good health.
Absolutely, brother. Well, thank you so much for taking a few minutes to join us today. We'll look forward to maybe catching up with you as that schedule gets going and checking in with you.
Hey, anytime, man. Sorry about I was getting ready to get in the shower here, and I was like, man,
hey, late minute, man. We appreciate you. Trust me.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, Jake. Jake
All
Query joining us here on the program, talking about Slick Leonard. And we got the Indy 500 coming up soon, around the corner. Don't forget about that. So we got that. Kyle Neddenriep's going to join us here in the next segment. Where are we? So, yeah, we got a few minutes. But, the Pacers lost last night. Other news, Dave McCullough, the son of Delon McCullough in the 2023 class, commits to Indiana football yesterday. He is potentially going to be the highest rated recruit to ever come to Indiana. I think he is in his class right now, 6th nationally. He's a defensive back. They do have an older brother. He's committed to Ohio State. When I first saw that, I was like, wow, he flipped. But it's the younger brother. But I'm still wondering if that's going to happen. Still hoping for that flip. He's a linebacker. He's got another son that's committed to Ohio State, like I said, and hoping for that flip. But the younger one today is going to be playing at Bloomington South High School. So that'll be interesting as well. What else is going on today or that we had last night? Of course, Dane Fife spoke with the media. We never did play that clip yet, did we? But we're too close to the break. I don't know. So do we have time to play Kevin's clip or is it too long?
You're good. You can play it.
Let's hear. This is yesterday with. Well, you know what? We better save those for who's. Oh yeah, go ahead and play it. This is Kevin Brockway. He comes in with us. He's down in Florida. You know, he's on vacation. He wasn't on with us this week. And Dane is just having fun. I mean, he was having fun with everybody, and it showed. And it loosened up the room. It was laughing. Man, there was never laughing in a press conference in 4 years. It's nuts how it has been. It's been a very unusual situation. For each weekday presser, I got to ask one question this season in the weekday pressers. One time, because generally there would be 4 questions to generally the same 4 people, and that was it. With Archie, it was weird. So that'll be changing. If I talk through it.
Yeah, I came down to Florida a few days ago, and I've lost my base tan, so it's like
What part there, Studley? I like the tan.
West Palm Beach, yeah. Visiting
Good
some
looking,
family, yeah.
maybe a little burnt, maybe a little sunscreen for you today.
I put on 30, and it didn't work.
50's the play. Maybe a hat.
Yeah.
Do you golf?
Next time, yeah.
Do you golf?
No, fishing. So I'm out in the water.
What'd you catch?
Some kingfish, king mackerel, stuff like that. So
Yep.
Good stuff.
Maybe a hat, some sunscreen.
Yeah.
From a guy that's had melanoma. Let's do it.
My skin doesn't. It's 2 years in Indiana. My skin doesn't react the way it used to. I lived in Florida 18 years before that. So
I'm thinking right here.
Yep.
Oh man, Julia, are you talking about like that right there? Oh, well, you talking about getting it right? No, he just talking about it in general. I don't think he was talking about anyone specifically, but yeah, that was fun. But that was just a fun time, and we'll have more of it. But we got to hit a. We're good here. But that's an example. I mean, we'll do my one when I'm on there later. And I didn't think about it, but he nailed it. He said, "Oh, what is that? One of those fake hat things where you got the hair on there?" And I'm like, "That is kind of funny." But my hair was probably sticking all over the place yesterday. But but no, I know Dane, but he was picking on just making the environment just fun. I think he's been told it's been like a morgue, and that's one of the things he was going to instantly do is lighten it up. But no, Joey, I think that. Okay, what did I say? The local people he was just messing with. But as far as getting things right, he was just talking about it in general. But he was saying that they're going to be more open. So with that openness comes the responsibility of the media to make sure that you do things right. But because before everything was just closed off, and that creates problems. But that's what he was talking about. But we got Kyle Neddenriep coming up next. I got to hit that break, so we'll be back with him right after this to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios.
Welcome to your extra.
All right, I got to get somebody for 10, right?
Yes.
Mother of God. This is the one day that always.
And I'm assuming since Dylan Sinn's not here, he couldn't be here for some reason, right?
Well, that's what started the whole thing.
Okay.
And then Bob had to move up. And then, yeah.
Everybody had scheduling conflicts today.
There was every single one at this.
I mean, it's not funny, but it's a weird coincidence.
It's just what you got to do, man. Quarterback it. You just got to quarterback it.
Yeah.
Audible. Make the play.
It's going good so far, I feel like.
Oh, yeah. Get Kyle on here. That'd be great stuff. Ooh, I got to get his stuff pulled up. gonna tell him I wish he'd get somebody from Indy Star to get my stupid subscription lined out. I can
You
pull
ever
it up
have,
on my phone, but I
have
can't
Zach
ever get
Osterman
on.
on?
Yeah. You know what? I haven't had Zach on for a while.
You gonna reach out to him?
Yeah. It's a good call. Hoosier fans, whether you're looking for a new or a used vehicle, Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington's got you covered. They're Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. For deals like this, how about a new 2020 Honda Civic LX front-wheel drive lease for just $180 a month? Or a new 2021 Honda Accord LX front-wheel drive lease for just $270 a month. Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Jim Coyle with you. Waiting for Kyle Neddenriep to join us here. Got the All-Star team coming up. Mr. Basketball race coming up. Was paying attention to that yesterday. He had a lot of stuff out on that. I'm looking forward. Oh, there he is. Johnny sneaking in on me. I'm reading your all that stuff over the last few days. It's been you've had so much stuff, content out. I was like, daggone it. It's a lot of it was like, gee whiz, that's after all the season, but catching up. So many guys. That's Mr. Basketball's going to be a little closer than at the beginning of the season. I thought it was just done deal. And now I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Trey, there's no guarantee winner.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's probably three guys, at the top, I would say, with Kaufman, Caleb First, and Luke Brown. To me, are probably pretty clearly defined. I think maybe you could throw Brooks Barnheiser in there with the numbers he's put up this year. But out of those six, I would say those three to me kind of separated themselves either based on team accomplishments with First and Kaufman, 2 state championships, and then Brown really. I know they didn't win state or even make it to the state finals, but that program completely flipped. Based on especially the last 2 years. And then, they ran into Blackhawk Christian. And, if you ask anybody who played Luke Brown, I mean, he's the deal. I mean, he's legit. And I don't think there's any question about that. And I know there's a lot of support for him, so I think he'll get quite a few votes when it's all tallied up. I do wonder if maybe First kind of separated himself a little bit with that state finals performance he had. I thought he played better than Kaufman. In that game, not against each other, but just in that Saturday showing. So, I think in a case like this where, really realistically, if you look at First and Kaufman, their overall stats, their body of work, their resumes are really comparable, and they play the same position. They're not the same position, but they're the same size, a lot of similarities. So, if you're kind of on the fence and breaking a tie based on the state finals, I think First probably would probably get a few votes based on that. And so, that is that enough to put him over the top? I don't know. I'm kind of like you. I thought going into the year, I thought Kaufman had a head start. I don't know if I thought it was a done deal necessarily, but I thought he had a head start on First and Brown and some of the others. But not anything that, when you look at First overall body of work, I think he stacks up with anybody as well. So it'll be real interesting. I think those three are probably pretty clearly the favorites. Like I said, Barnheiser, I think maybe, has an outside shot, in the fourth. I don't think he'll get enough statewide support though. So it'll be, I think it's like we've talked about a lot. It's a really good year. This is a really good class. The Indiana All-Star team, which, I think that'll be out early next week, will be a team that's going to be really, really good. So a good class, and I think a worthy winner, no matter who it is, for Mr. Basketball.
Yeah, absolutely. And in years past, I think that Barnheiser or not Barnheiser, but Caleb First would pick up some momentum because Trey Kaufman being so far in the South. Because guys in the South just were in the years past just were kind of looked over a little bit, but Kaufman's made up for that with offers from all over the country and all of that. But normally that would work against him. I don't think it does here, but his performance in that state finals game where he didn't do a lot, but he didn't need to do as much. He had more of a supporting cast, I guess, around him maybe. But yeah, he didn't have the state finals game that I think that he needed to solidify that. But it'll be interesting to see what the Gatorade award that shocked me last year, and I still don't understand why they gave that to him over some of the guys that came out, because there's no way in the world he deserved it over some of those seniors that came out, in my opinion. But that's a whole different deal.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was kind of, it's very rare that a junior wins that award. It's not completely out of the realm of possibility. They do give it to juniors. They do allow underclassmen to win it, unlike Mr. Basketball, which is obviously, as we know, a senior only award, but pretty rare. It hadn't happened since Greg Oden had won it. So, in the 2020 class, probably, a little bit weaker on the whole. So maybe that played into part of it a little bit. But I think, there were some worthy candidates in there. Anthony Leal, Trey Galloway, Tony Perkins had a great year for LN. Especially as that year ended with those guys unable to move on. I thought it would have been good to allow that one of them to win it. But at any rate, that's another reason I thought Kaufman maybe had a little bit of a head start. He's Gatorade Player of the Year as a junior. I thought he had when I saw him play over the summer, he looked really good. In my mind, I was like, man, if there was a normal AAU travel season, he'd be getting all kinds of offers from everywhere. But he did have a great year. He wasn't dominant in that state championship game. I thought Leo did a really good job defending him, and he kind of played. He did what he had to do, played great defense, but probably wasn't as dominant as maybe you would look at for a guy of that caliber. But it's game by game. It's not I don't think you can base it totally off one game. We all know Trey Kaufman's a great player. So if he does win it, he's certainly deserving of that honor. So, but yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. And, like I said, I think any one of them would be deserving.
And then, so with the Indiana, again, should have an unbelievably strong all-star team, again, to go 2-0 over Kentucky, which should be the expectation. There's been talk before, Kentucky just does not produce the talent. Is there any thoughts to ever changing this series? I don't want to see it changed, but I think the record is like 3-1 over the long time of the series.
Yeah, the girls has been much closer over I don't know the numbers offhand or what they are exactly, but I know the girls have been more competitive. Kentucky, at least, has been much more competitive on the girls' side than the boys' side. Now, I will say, I've covered probably not every single game since I've been here, but pretty close. I think there was one year I was out of town or on vacation or something, but for the most part, the games in Kentucky the boys have played have been very competitive. And when they go down there, it's they've had to pull a lot of games out of the fire. I think they had I can't remember what their streak was of overall wins, but it got snapped a couple of years ago. I think it was 2017 down there in Kentucky. But yeah, and then the games up here in Indianapolis have not been as close for the most part. But there were some games in there that were, in the 13 years I've been doing it, that were really close, and they were able to pull them out. There's just not the overall passion on the Kentucky side as far as naming the team and making a big deal out of it. At least that's my sense. And I know when those Indiana guys start playing and get involved in this game, they're really competitive about beating Kentucky and kind of showing they are the team. So I think that's been a part of it too. Maybe Kentucky doesn't quite have that passion and pride on their side. And they've also had a lot of guys who haven't played in the game. They do their selection a little bit different with a workout situation, and they pick from there. And where on the Indiana side, it's more of a career and season award, and they pick it that way. They have to show up to their workout. At least that's the way they've done it in years past. So I think all that kind of plays into it. Kentucky's had some good players come through, and I've seen some really good games between the teams. But, I don't know that there's been a real thought about – I talked to Charlie Hall, the former games director, about that a few times about, is there any thought to, getting Illinois or Ohio or, pick a different state to play against? And, he made a good point. I mean, this series goes back to 1940. I mean, I think you lose some tradition if you don't have Kentucky. And who's to say Ohio's going to have their best guys play and that they're going to care about it? That was always Charlie's thought. Maybe you have better talent overall in Illinois or Ohio, but why would they care? Are they going to actually show up and play? Is it going to be something that fans are going to resonate with fans? So I think if Kentucky wants to be a part of it, you kind of continue down that path. And if they don't, then maybe you find something else to do. I always thought maybe, even if Kentucky wanted to pull out or, make it a non-event, then maybe just play the juniors and make that play one game against the juniors and make that the game, and I think people would still be interested in that. Maybe you play a 2-game series against the juniors and let a couple different junior teams play. Maybe that is even.
No, go ahead. Yeah, there's just I like it, but I'm surprised that the dominance. I know Indiana produces so much more talent than anybody around, but the pride thing, you would think that just playing to win, but yeah, you're right. It hasn't worked out that way. Something else that everybody, I'm not the only one that had this idea because I saw it in one of your pieces, but I definitely had this idea, and I think a lot of people have, especially after this year. But combining the 4 champions, why not have a 4-way playoff? Or I saw one person suggested, and I kind of liked that. When you get to like the 8 teams, to turn that into a tournament, I think that's a hell of an idea. I really do. But I know that sometimes that 1A school and that 4A is a gigantic difference. This year was not the case. So I would like to see that. I would definitely like to see the champions play and have the champions playoff.
Well, as you know, they used to have the tournament of champions lasted for a couple of years after the single class tournament went away. It was mixed results. I think it's very sort of, I think at that time was anticlimactic to see, the champions face off against each other because, you went from a single class tournament to crowning 4 champions and then playing another weekend. So I think the timing of that where, people were a little bit, put off maybe by getting rid of the single class tournament. And then you add this new thing. It didn't have any real tradition to it like the old tournament did. But I think now enough time has passed. I think maybe there is an opportunity to jazz things up and do something different. I'm all for it. I think, whether it's that idea or, I know there's been some hybrid models that people have had ideas for. I don't think we'll ever get away from, crowning 4 state champions. The small school principals and administrators are not going to be for that. And they're ultimately the ones who vote on what happens with the tournament. So, I don't think you'll get away from the current system we have, but maybe there is a way to incorporate some sort of tournament of champions, whatever that looks like. And I know you're referencing that mailbag item that the reader sent in, and I thought that was a cool idea, to bring those 8 teams together. There's been a couple times though where, I think the 1A champion has definitely not been of the caliber of the 3A, 4A, or just the 4A, depending on the year. There was one year, and I remember back to when Greensburg and Park Tudor won in 3A and 2A. Greensburg was loaded. They had Brian McIntosh, Ryan Wellage, Sean Sellers. I think it was 2014 or 15. And then Park Tudor had they had Jalen Jackson and Bryce Moore, Trayvon Blewett. So that 2A team could have beaten Tech. It was 2014 because it was Tech, Greensburg, Park Tudor, and then Marquette Catholic, which had Ryan Fazekas, who was a Division I player. That was similar to this year. I thought where you had Carmel, Silver Creek. I think if you put all those 4 teams, Blackhawk and Bar Eve, in a tournament, I don't know if there's been any more balanced year that I can remember. I think Bar Eve could beat any of those 3 teams. They almost beat Carmel. They should have beat Carmel back in December, and then Blackhawk won the tournament of champions. So, I think there's definitely that would have been maybe that's a unique year. I don't know. We'll have to kind of gauge it moving forward, but maybe there is an appetite for something like that, to do it the next weekend maybe you can't do it at Maker's Life, but do it somewhere else and have that. But I don't know. Maybe it's too anticlimactic after you put the medals on and you win a state title and people go on spring break and, maybe it's just too much. I'm not sure, but I think I think you always are looking for ways to make the tournament better. And, I don't, there are some things I think working in the background, not that specific idea, but maybe to make the regional and semi-state a little bit better. And I think that's something that, I don't think will happen immediately, but could happen in the future.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. You can't really, the anticlimactic thing, you cannot in your mind build toward a state championship and what all that takes, because I know you can't come back to that next week. That's the different thing. But I really think that they should combine the 1 and 2. I just in that, let it be 1 and 2A, and 2 and 3 and 4 are strong enough. I would definitely like to see a play. I would like to see it go back to 1 state champion. I know it's crazy and it's never going to happen, but combine 1 and 2A and let them go at it and let them play up until that final 8. I love that idea. I think it's a great idea. And I think the fans would actually like it because there's enough that still like the single class. And I guess everybody can feel sorry for those single A teams, but I don't. I guess I'm a hard ass, but I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't see that just a state. I'm like, golly, but again, I grew up in a different era. I grew up when there was 3 classes in football.
Right.
And so it just keeps getting like Kentucky's got 6 classes in football. It's just crazy. I'm like, gee whiz, why don't y'all just have a different class, just hand them out? But it's just gotten a little, and I know when football is so different than basketball, but Indiana is just different. And the top, there's definitely a disparity. The talent is, you can't expect a single A team to go play against the Lawrence North or Carmel. I mean, what's Carmel have? 5,000 students?
Mm.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, what's the smallest school you know of that it plays well in basketball?
I mean, Bar Eve was like 300 something students.
Oh my God!
It's but
But didn't they give
the tradition
Carmel
there.
a game?
Huh?
Didn't they play Carmel to close?
Yeah, they should have beat them. Probably they were late in the game. I mean, they were right in there. Now that's a Bar Eve team that this has been their best team they've ever had. But still, it does show you. And I think if you built a system like that where you have the 8 teams filter in. I know the argument for this is say, hey, back in the day in single class, winning a sectional was like winning state, so I think you would still have that element if you did something like that, like, hey, we showed we're the best 1A team. Now let's move on and see what, and normally, that best 1A team is going to be good. I mean, they're going to have their own style of play. They're going to have talent. They're going to have something working for them. They're going to be the people's champion. Going into it, people are going to root for the underdog. So I'd love to see something different like that. But I also know the odds stacked against you, and I put ideas out there like in the past, and I've always. And I think people like different ideas, but I know that there's very little chance that, there's so many things that have to happen. And even the Coaches Association has brought ideas forward, like even going to a 3-class system years ago, and that got shot down. So
who's standing in the way? What is actually standing in the way? Who is it? Not person, but what group is it that's really?
It's the small school administrators for the most. Once you went to 4 classes, they don't want to go backwards. They don't want to not be able to win state. And I went to, probably 10 years ago to around the state. They did those. They kind of brought up the idea of single class again, and they went around to different cities and talked to town hall situations, and pretty much everybody kind of got up. You heard a lot of people from the administration on the in the small school side saying, we like it the way it is. We have a chance to win state. We're why change it? This is great for our community to have a chance to win state, and not only basketball, but all different sports. So I think that's, and ultimately they're the ones who make the decisions for the IHSA. They're not only the small schools, all the schools. So, the big schools could care less, throw us in with everybody. We don't care. That's fine by them. But I think the small schools is where you're going to run up against it.
Yep. Unfortunately, that is the case. I know you got to run, man. I appreciate you so much. I know you got work to get done. Anything coming up we need to know about?
Well, yeah, we'll have Mr. Basketball coming out later this week. And then I think Indiana All-Star should be early next week, although, still waiting on word on that. But have a Taven Jackson story got posted yesterday on his official visits and some of the things he's doing. So that's up there now, and a lot of other stuff coming.
Make sure you check it out, and hopefully that Mr. Basketball comes out next Wednesday. That would be perfect. Thank you a lot, sir. Appreciate you.
All right. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Kyle. Have a great day. Kyle Neddenriep from Indianapolis Star here joining us as we got to hit a break, and we'll be back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this. Hey, Hoosier fans, whether you're looking for a new how about that?
Sweet.
It's been great.
That's for 10 o'clock.
No, I've been busy having a great show. Let's see. Go to comments. The Dane stuff.
And you still have your other Dane Fife clip if you want to use that.
Yeah. No, that was nothing. A clip on Dane Fife talking about Rob Finney being the toughest. Daggone it. I don't know where that is. Man. Alrighty. Why didn't you put that?
Welcome to your extraordinary destination, French Lick, West Baden, Indiana. You'll find great places to visit, to stay, to dine, and to play. We offer an up-close animal encounter with elephants and giraffes, lodging that is out of this world, world-class golfing, and a premier resort experience that is waiting for you on your next visit to French Lick, West Baden.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Welcome back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this Wednesday. Hope you're having a great day. I have been. Bob Kravitz has been with us. Just wrapped up with Kyle Neddenriep. Had a chance to talk to Jake Curry earlier. Hadn't had him on for a bit. Looking forward to getting through this week and getting to some warmth, man. It got warm and it chilly again. Talking about Slick Leonard passing away. Dane Fife met with the media yesterday as the first time as an Indiana basketball coach. The cicadas are coming. Don't forget about that. Man, into this month probably. That weird noise. I remember that when I was a kid. The Pacers lost last night. Yeah, and talking about Slick Leonard, I mean, he did change the entire sports landscape in the state of Indiana. He could have changed the landscape, basketball landscape at Indiana University. He could have been the coach at IU. I don't think that would have been a character in a completely different direction than Bob Knight was. But obviously it would have been winning because he won everywhere he went, no matter what. Tony says Slick was an awesome ambassador for IU, Pacers, Indiana in general, a true giant. And that is true. Coach McCullough's son, talked about him earlier, coming along. That is great to see. When are you going to get Fife and Woody on? Oh, we'll get them on soon. They got to get through their obligations. Tony says, not sure about anyone else, but watching Fife's presser, I got a huge man crush. He is going to be such a presence for IU hoops. He's just a great character. He's just got a great personality. I mean, he's got a great person. He knows that the person before him was a corpse. I mean, Archie Miller, I'm not going to he was a jackass. Just an absolute jackass to be around. I mean, he had no personality. He had no personality with his own players. I thought it was just us. It's not. He has no personality, period. So, the difference, unbelievable. Unbelievable. And that's going to be an unbelievable difference for the program. That's going to filter all the way down to the fans. The fans see how he is with us, and that is a stark difference. So that's going to filter down. That alone is going to create an excitement level. The NCAA passed the one-time transfer rule. Yep, that's right. Got that out there. That's going to not a surprise there. But I have no problem with that. I think you should be able to. Coaches can come and go. There's undue pressure that can be placed on you if you don't have that option. So that gives them an option. It would be cool if you get Fife to do it. Yeah, that would be great. We'll see what we can get done there. I do have my sunscreen on, Tony. That's a reference to yesterday's Dane Fife presser with pretty funny. Yeah, recovered there. Brett says, that's talking about the Steelers. I don't know what we're talking about that. Julia, Jim, why do you think of Fife speaking of Pickle? We talked about that earlier. Just playing. He's playful. He knows some guys that he knows. See, that's an unusual situation where a coach comes in and there's a lot of people that he knows. A lot of people that already have his number. So that's a different situation than what we've seen here in the past. I mean, that's never been the case. There's never been that coming in that has been so familiar before. Let's see. Anyone else got a comment? Mike says, I hear Archie has lots of time now. Yeah, he's got plenty of time. Chris Beard's building up in Texas. Just got a commitment from UK's Devin Askew. Well, that'll go a long way. That's a great to get. Tim doesn't want to see a Purdue player get Mr. Basketball. Well, that's happened before, and it's going to happen again this year. Let's see. Jennifer I think Fife and Dockich, they both played ball. So almost virtually all of the former players have a decent relationship. But if you're a night guy, you almost have to. I mean, what's Dockich going to say about Fife? He's the freaking coach at IU now. It wouldn't do him good to do otherwise, but that's a good question. Sean asking, what do you expect the confirmation on Roseman? That's a great question. I guess there's details that have to be worked out and finalized before anything does that. But they also have the ability, they can be a little more quieter now because people aren't digging as much, trying to find out as much information. But good question, because you would think that they'd like to get that locked down and moved on for a recruiting standpoint. Sean also asked about a transfer out. I'm trying to think of anybody left that could possibly be, and I don't think so. There's no one left, is there, that has not made their commitment known? Oh, Jerome Hunter, Rob Fennessy, but I don't see Rob going anywhere, especially after the words we heard about him by Dane Fife. I wish we could had that clip pulled up. I don't know where it is, but Dane talked about Rob Fennessy being the best defender in the Big Ten and how he sees a lot of him in himself. So I don't see him going anywhere. Jerome Hunter, haven't heard anything out of him. Kind of late, I would think, for him to be hitting the portal. Don't know where he would really go. I don't know that he would be in high demand. He hasn't shown. He hasn't been a slasher, hasn't been a shooter. I mean, he hasn't done anything for someone to really beg for him to come there. This coaching staff may think that they can work with him because they know him better. So he would be the only possibility, but I have not heard anything about that personally. But, all that information, go to the Hoosier.com, all the boards. Man, that stuff is there just constantly. That's where that information is, at the Hoosier.com. Alec Lasley, follow him. They do a tremendous job keeping that stuff up to the minute. Let's see. Sean says he did appear in yesterday's highlight Twitter posting. Did not see Lander or Race. Not reading into that, but did see Hunter. Lander is committed to staying. That's already been known, and Race is committed to staying. So, I think we should be good. I don't see anyone else leaving. No. How about Auburn landing a Kessler kid, man? That's a big get. How does Auburn keep freaking doing it? I mean, gee whiz. They were this close to being on NCAA probation, and yet they keep landing these guys. I don't know how Louisville keeps getting the people they're getting. Not that I have any concern about Indiana landing guys. That's not going to be a problem. I am completely serious. Next year, it's going to start in earnest, I think. But I would not be surprised at all to see Indiana land a really, really nice transfer portal pickup. And you've also got the old Archie Miller, let's bank a scholarship deal. I think there's still 2 remaining scholarships if it's been so crazy. But I think there's still 2. Maybe they do want to keep one going into next season since they're new staff. So not sure what they're going to want to do with that. Tim would like to see Bryce Thompson from Kansas. Talking about yesterday's photos, Mike said there were a lot of smiles. Well, yeah, there's a lot of smiles all around it now because it's a lot of happiness in Bloomington. Christian hit us up and says Bruce Pearl is known for he drops a dime. All right. I was thinking that I didn't want to say it, but I'm glad you did. And that's a trip, but I can't, they were already being looked at for that. So Yeah, that amazes me, man. The Pacers tipping off a 3-game road swing tonight. Looking forward to talking to Chris Denari tomorrow about that. Getting caught up with him they took it on the chin last night with a loss at home to who the heck did they play? I had it in my mind, I forgot, but I thought they were going to win the Clippers. But is that where Yogi is by the chance? Yeah, the Yogi's. So Yogi come in and beat the Pacers last night. So there was that. We got to take a break. We'll be back with more to finish it out. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat coming to you from the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios. Back with more right after this. Hey, Hoosier fans, whether you're looking for a new We haven't played my clip, or have we?
We have not. You can play that this second if you need to.
Yeah.
Just call forward, and it's literally ready for me to go whenever you're ready for it.
Get through this together. But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid, but there is hope. Reach out to someone, connect with your friends, stay in touch with your community, and know that you are not alone. Learn more at wearebroadcasters.com/hope, furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Welcome back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this Wednesday. Dane Fife met with the IU media yesterday. It was the first time as an Indiana basketball coach. And Sean says that seems yesterday to indicate the transfer portal will continue to be alive and well in all summer. Do you expect they hold a spot for a potential gem that enters after the draft? Well, that's kind of what I was just talking about. I think that being new, why shoot the moon here? Let's wait and see what comes available. They don't know exactly what they need yet first. They have to get in there, get with these players, see who can do what, and what they can do with them, what they think they can do with them, and then decide what do we really need. I mean, there are instant needs, of course, shooting, always. They're not very big. you've got Trace and Race, but of course, we don't know the style that they're going to run, so we don't know what that's going to be. But is it possible? Absolutely. I think that you could see. I think one more portal player, and I think you hold it for a commitment for next year. But everything changes. That's a guess. So, but yeah, Sean, I agree with you there. Cannot appreciate you. Mass Gaining Guy, new subscriber, watching from Memphis. What's up down in Memphis? Down on Beale Street. Oh, you're talking about Rosemont. Earlier we were talking about. I thought you were talking about the third assistant. Rosemont chose St. John's because it was close to home. Not sure if he would come to IU. Oh, I don't know what you guys are talking about there. You got to start spelling stuff out. But yeah, I think that they hit the portal one more time. But nothing is for certain. But they have to find out what they need. And what they can get out of these players, like I said, these players have not been maximized. These players have not been developed. I mean, you heard Dane Fife talking about Rob Finney, that he's the best defender in the Big Ten. Well, no one else would have said that. And I'm not saying that he's not. But Dane sees that. And this is the guy who is Mr. Defense. So Dane sees that in him. And he knows that Rob doesn't see that in himself. That hasn't been instilled in him by the previous coaching staff. Virtually no confidence has been instilled in this entire team by the previous staff. That's one of the things I think they have to come in and do. They almost have to do a lobotomy on these kids. But just coming in seems to have lifted off a ton of that. You listen to Trace Jackson Davis talk, there's relief. There's relief. Which again, I don't understand the decision by Armand Franklin, but I think that decision was made prior to, for whatever reason. So, but I think he should have stayed. The team would have been better, but he would have been better off too. I think the team's going to be fine without him. I would just have liked to have seen him be a part of it, but he's got to do what he's got to do. But there is no doubt in my mind that the talent level is going to increase. It's going to increase quickly. Dane Fife is a hell of a recruiter. Kenya Hunter is a recruiter. And Kenya Hunter can now go recruit guys that will actually fit a system that makes sense, that will actually have a system that kids will want to come play in. There's no coincidence to the fact that in Archie's 4 years, he could not land any elite talent from outside the state and could barely land elite talent inside the state. That's not a coincidence. Who wants to play in that? That's changed. That's over. And that will quickly be the case again. Indiana produces a ton of talent, but there's elite talent all over the place. I mean, we talk to them every day here. Charlie Miller from Miami. I mean, the guys from Joe Hillman's from California. But I think you're going to see kind of the old school, getting back to the base of this talent right here in this Midwest talent. You throw in a guy or two from someplace else that's elite, and you have an elite program. And that's what it's going to take. Sean says, so much pleasure watching UK get uncomfortable. Couldn't happen to a better place. You think our fans get stupid? Big Blue Nation makes IU Twitter look like girls. Yeah, there's probably a truth to that. Chris says currently 6 guards, 2 wings, and 3 bigs. 1 big is real new, and will need some development. I would say they need a big or 2. I think the freshmen are underestimated and need development. No doubt to that. And that's something we have to look at. You've got 4 guys that were not utilized last year, almost at all. They played, but they were not utilized. They were not developed in any way. It was the weirdest thing. But anyway, they're going to get developed. You've got Christian Lander, who is just mad, crazy skilled, but he's got to be harnessed and directed. Well, you've got a guy that has worked with point guards in the NBA for a long time. He knows what he's doing. It's a great staff. That's not going to be an issue. They're going to have to find a role and Trey Galloway, but he will. He's a basketball player. He's a coach's son. He's smart. They're going to have to get Anthony Leal on track. Shooting, well, he's a shooter. Let's get him shooting. But all that stuff has to happen. And it's got to happen now. It didn't happen last year. They lost the preseason. Now, hopefully that's not going to happen this year. But it's going to be completely different in the makeup and the preparation for what they have going into. Christian asked, I wonder if they're looking at Miller Kopp from Northwestern. I'm sure they're looking at any and everybody, but again, it goes back to what they think they're going to need after they have analyzed and what they have. I promise you that analyzation is going to be different from the previous, but who knows? But it's going to be better, and that's all that matters. I can't wait. I'm still giddy about football season. You just yesterday that announcement of McCullough. I put up a stat a long time ago. It showed the recruiting. JB gave it to me. JB, where you been, by the way? But it showed the recruiting from like over 20 years, where 20 years ago, 80% of the recruiting was 2 stars. And today, over 80% of it is 3 stars, which means it's mostly 3 and 4. It has just continued to go up. They have never gotten a 5-star recruit. I think that happens in the next recruiting class. I really do. I think they get their first 5-star in the first recruiting class. Why that's important? That chart that I have, when I look at it, I can also see it has a column from the percentage, has a column for the star, percentage stars, and each of those. And you can see when they got their first 4-star. And then a couple years after that, how it started jumping. And then that's where the percentage started changing over. When they get that first 5-star, more will come. You have to get that first one. But when they get that first one, more will come. And that recruiting matrix will continue to trend over to a higher talent percentage. It's already doing that. But on top of that, they're developing kids. They turn 2 and a 3-star into All-Americans. They're developing kids and winning and recruiting. The football program and the coaching, man, I don't see this thing going away. I mean, I don't want to jinx it, but because they just got there. But what they're building, how it's being built, it's a great formula. I don't see it going away. The kids love it. The players love it. They love the program. They love the coaches. That's how you build a program. There's no loss. Don't think that these basketball players didn't see that. They did. Don't think they didn't want that. They did. Don't think they got that because they did not. But that's going to be they are going to get that now. Indiana basketball is going to be a little more like Indiana football is now from that environment situation. But it's going to be a lot more closer to Indiana basketball of what it used to be like, without question, because you have Indiana people in there, people that care about the program, That are 3 words that could not be said for the last 4 years. Archie Miller couldn't give 2 rat's craps about Indiana program, Bloomington, Indiana University. Oh, well, good thing that's done and over. But tomorrow, Chris Denari, Matt Taylor, Dustin Shooting. See if we can get a few others going for you, but it's looking forward to just having fun now. Man, yesterday's pressers. Looking forward to getting on with Coach Woodson soon as well. And just things are just much better. The cloud is lifted. Hey, I got my second shot yesterday too, by the way, FYI. Boom, boom. I'm fully vaccinated. So there's that. I know some people are not anti-vaccine, so keep that to yourself. If you are, that's fine. I'm not. I got mine. I'm good with it. I didn't want the Johnson & Johnson on. I did not get that. But I hope you guys had a great day, and we have hit the midway point into the week. We're going to try to blow it out with Verdell and get a couple guys on here that we haven't spoken to in a while. So catch up on things and keep on going. I hope you guys have had a great day and have a great rest of the rest of the day, and do something nice for somebody. Go out and wear your mask. Until tomorrow, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you all on the radio.